If you're used to eating chicken, turkey or duck at the dinner table, you might be surprised to learn there's a multi-billion-dollar industry built around a very different bird, the pheasant. Once known as a wild game bird from the forests of Asia, pheasants are now raised on a massive scale, with millions produced each year to supply both the dinner plate and the world of luxury sports hunting. But what exactly has turned a wild bird into one of the most widely farmed game species in the world? And how do farmers manage flocks that number in the millions? That's the story we're about to uncover today. Pheasants originated in Asia, where they were common across China, Mongolia, Vietnam and India. By the 18th and 19th centuries, sailors and traders had brought them to Europe and then North America. At first, they were released solely for hunting, but as demand grew, pheasants began to be raised under controlled conditions. Over time, they became an important part of agriculture, cuisine, and even the tourism industry. When people think of industrial farming, they usually picture chicken houses, pig barns, or dairy farms. But with pheasants, it's a completely different story. These birds are both wild and sensitive, which means that to raise them by the millions, farmers have to follow highly specialized methods. It all begins with the hatching process. A pheasant hen usually starts laying eggs at around 28 to 30 weeks of age. In each clutch, she produces between 12 and 20 eggs before stopping to brood. Farmers collect the eggs daily and then move them into incubation areas. Here the eggs are carefully washed and sorted to remove any that are cracked or misshapen, while the intact ones are neatly placed into trays. The trays then pass through another inspection system to ensure quality before being moved into incubators, where a steady temperature of around 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit allows the embryos to develop strong and healthy. On large-scale farms in the UK or the US, hatch rates can reach as high as 85 to 90%, an impressive figure compared to what happens in the wild. From the incubation stage alone, these farms can produce millions of chicks each year. After around 23 to 25 days, the eggs begin to hatch and pheasant chicks emerge. At this point, farmers carefully move them into brooding areas, where they receive special care during the first 4 to 6 weeks of life. Unlike industrial chickens that are bred to be hardy and fast-growing, pheasants are far more delicate. They are highly sensitive to stress and prone to respiratory and digestive diseases. That's why the brooding pens must always be kept clean, well ventilated, with stable temperatures and access to fresh water. Their feed also needs to be protein rich to help them quickly build up their bodies. Even the smallest mistake in maintaining the right temperature or hygiene can result in many chicks dying overnight. Once they are strong enough, at around 8 to 10 weeks of age, young pheasants are moved into a semi-wild rearing stage. Instead of being raised in closed barns like industrial chickens, pheasants are released into areas spanning dozens and sometimes even hundreds of acres, enclosed with tall netted fences to keep them from flying away and to protect them from natural predators. There, they learn to adapt to sunlight and weather, practice short flights, and begin living almost like a wild bird. So, when these pheasants are finally released into the wild, what happens next? How many actually manage to survive in the forest? The harsh reality is that only around 40 to 50% make it through the first 2 weeks, while the rest fall victim to illness, exhaustion, or predators. To improve survival rates, farmers can't just rely on luck. They regularly vaccinate the birds to prevent disease. In addition, a small plastic piece is often attached to the pheasant's beak to stop them from pecking at each other, reducing injuries and boosting survival within the flock. In some places, drones are even flown overhead each day to monitor the entire release area. Even though they're released into the wild, the birds don't rely entirely on whatever food they can find. Farmers set up multiple feeding stations and provide extra grains, seeds, or nutrient-rich feed, giving the flock enough energy to grow healthy and strong. Thanks to the combination of traditional methods and high-tech management, caring for pheasant flocks has become far more efficient without the need for a large labour force. After around 14 to 16 weeks, pheasants are fully grown, strong enough to fly quickly and ready for hunting. At this point, farmers use long nets or portable fencing to circle and guide the flock into a confined area. Each bird is carefully caught and placed into transport crates made of wood or lightweight metal, designed with plenty of ventilation to ensure airflow. From there, they are loaded onto pickup trucks and taken either to private hunting grounds or licensed public forests. But unlike industrial chickens raised for meat, these birds are bred almost exclusively to supply sport hunting. In the UK, each year between 35 and 40 million pheasants are bred and released specifically for the hunting season, creating a multi-billion pound industry. In the US, the numbers are also significant, with around 10 to 12 million pheasants raised annually. This model is most common in the Midwest states like South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas. Every fall, the sight of long lines of trucks heading out to the wide open fields has become a familiar scene. For locals, it's more than just a recreational activity, it's part of their culture, with pheasants nearly becoming a symbolic hallmark of the autumn and winter hunting seasons. In South Dakota alone, more than 120,000 hunters visit each year. They bring guns, hunting dogs, and are willing to spend millions of dollars just for the experience of shooting a bird in the direction of their aim. Many farms even operate fully fledged hunting resorts, where visitors can hunt and then immediately enjoy freshly harvested pheasant. Next, let's look at some impressive pheasant hunting scenes from professional hunters.
Youth participation. Stretch it up. Twist it. Nice shot. Oh, head. Yeah. Looser. Whoa. Right there, right there. Right where? Oh. What?
But hunting is only part of the story. Pheasant meat is also highly prized at the table, and it doesn't come cheap. In Europe, pheasants are often prepared in red wine stews, roasted whole, or made into pate. In the US, pheasant is considered a more luxurious alternative to turkey, appearing on the menus of upscale restaurants and five-star hotels. Pheasant meat usually sells for 3 to 4 times the price of conventional industrial chicken. While industrial chicken in the US costs only around $1.50 to $2 a pound, pheasants can go for $6 to $8 a pound, depending on the quality and region. As for their eggs, although less common, they're much more expensive. Each small egg, with a blue or dark brown shell, sells for several times the price of a regular chicken egg. However, behind the glamour of lavish hunting trips and farms raising millions of pheasants, this industry also faces its fair share of challenges. Many animal welfare organisations argue that raising tens of millions of pheasants solely to release them for hunting is inhumane. Some scientists also warn that releasing large numbers of pheasants into the wild can impact native ecosystems, competing for food with other bird species. So what do you think? Is pheasant hunting a tradition worth preserving, or is it a luxury activity that goes against animal welfare? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you know there are farmers willing to dedicate their entire lives to raising millions of chickens, just to make sure the food supply is safe and of high quality? It might sound simple, but raising chickens on pasture is anything but easy. This is one of the farming models that demands meticulous care, strong management skills, and the ability to handle countless risks, from harsh weather and disease outbreaks to predators and the impact of climate change. Yet the reward for all of that effort is huge. A successful pasture-raised chicken farm can bring in anywhere from hundreds of thousands of dollars to even millions a year from just egg and meat sale. In today's video, we'll explore the journey of raising millions of chickens on pasture, from daily care and harvesting eggs and meat to the challenges and the real value this model brings. Poultry farming is a vital part of American agriculture. Each year, the industry generates over $46 billion in revenue, with more than 9 billion chickens raised and sold on the market. Most of this comes from industrial farms, where chickens are confined in enclosed spaces and fattened up at a staggering pace. Industrially raised chickens can reach 5 pounds in just 38 days, twice as fast as a pasture-raised bird. But the trade-off is a softer, less flavorful meat with far lower omega-3 content. Moreover, the extremely high stocking density makes disease outbreaks much more likely. This forces farmers to overuse antibiotics, either mixed into the water or injected directly, something consumers today are increasingly concerned about. That's why many farms are gradually shifting towards pasture-raised chicken. From Oregon to North Carolina to Texas, more and more farmers are choosing to let their flocks roam outdoors instead of keeping them confined indoors. Until now, the US has around 750 officially recognised pasture-raised chicken farms. In just the past 5 years, the number of these farms has grown by more than 60% across many states. Meanwhile, worldwide there are an estimated 15,000 pasture-raised chicken farms in countries like the US, Canada, Australia, Germany and Brazil. In the US alone, large-scale farms in states like Iowa, Pennsylvania and California can manage flocks of nearly 2 million birds. Unlike industrial farms, the pasture-raised model allows chickens to roam freely across wide-open fields. There, they forage on grass, insects, worms and natural grains, supplemented with protein-rich feed to ensure balanced growth. As a result, pasture-raised chicken eggs and meat are highly valued for their quality and are richer in vitamin A, higher in omega-3, and offer a deeper, more flavorful taste when compared to chickens raised in confinement. However, starting a pasture-raised chicken farm requires farmers to choose the right breeds, set up mobile coops and rotate pastures regularly so the chickens don't end up eating manure or wilted grass. To get strong, healthy breeds, farmers carefully select eggs of uniform size from robust laying hens. The eggs are placed in modern incubators, where the temperature is kept steady at around 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity levels between 50 and 60%. After hatching, the chicks aren't released into the pasture right away. They're first placed in a brooder. There, farmers set up heat lamps to keep the temperature steady between 90 and 93 degrees Fahrenheit. They also replace the bedding with fresh straw or sawdust regularly and provide plenty of clean water and easily digestible feed to keep the chicks healthy during their first 6 weeks of life. Once they're strong enough, at around 5 to 6 weeks old, they're finally released into the pasture to get used to the natural environment. They quickly learn to scratch the soil, peck at fresh grass and insects, all while being supplemented with protein-rich feed like corn, soybeans and other added vitamins. Many people think raising chickens on pasture is just an old-fashioned way of farming, but in reality, behind it lies a highly modern management system. They use mobile chicken coops, essentially small houses on wheels that can be moved around the pasture. Every day or few days, farmers pull the coops to a fresh patch of grass, ensuring the chickens always have access to forage while giving the land time to recover. Interestingly, the chicken's manure itself becomes a rich natural fertilizer, helping to regenerate the pasture. This creates a closed-loop system, nourishing both the flock and the land at the same time. Each morning, the chickens are guided out onto the pasture to forage. Farmers also provide additional feed and fresh water. By evening, the flock is herded back into the coop to rest and stay safe from predators, bad weather, and cold nights. Of course, raising chickens outdoors isn't always easy. Harsh weather storms, heavy rain or extreme heat can take a toll on the flock's health. Not only that, pasture-raised chickens often face the risk of predators like foxes, wild dogs, coyotes or hawks. Farmers have to set up electric fencing and regularly patrol the fields to keep the flock safe. Another challenge is disease. When chickens are raised in large numbers, the risk of outbreaks is higher. That's why farms must maintain strict biosecurity measures, from disinfecting coops to carefully monitoring the quality of drinking water. At around 5 to 6 months old, hens begin laying eggs. Each hen can produce 250 to 300 eggs per year, depending on the breed and level of care. Pasture-raised chickens typically have darker yolks and are more nutrient-rich when compared to eggs from industrially raised chickens. Farmers collect eggs between once or twice a day. Smaller or cracked eggs are sorted out to ensure only top quality products make it to market. The selected eggs are stored at a chill temperature between 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit, then labelled for traceability. If a farm meets all of the required standards, the eggs can earn the USDA organic label. From there, they're packaged and distributed. In the US, large farming operations can supply hundreds of thousands of eggs to the market every single day. An average farm with about 50,000 chickens can harvest between 45 and 50,000 eggs a day. That roughly equates to around 16 million eggs a year. It's not just about eggs. Chicken meat is also a major source of revenue. Globally, more than 130 million tons of chicken are consumed each year. In the US alone, the average person eats around 112 pounds of chicken annually, much higher than beef or pork. China and Brazil are also amongst the top consumers, with demand continuing to rise to feed their massive populations. Depending on the breed, broiler chickens can reach the market between 8 and 12 weeks of age. Pasture-raised chickens usually grow much slower than industrial ones, but that slower growth results in firmer, more flavorful meat, and that's something many American consumers truly appreciate. When the birds reach their ideal weight, typically between 4 and 5.5 pounds for broilers, farmers begin to harvest. This is usually done at night, when the chickens are less active, to minimize stress and keep the flock safe. Farmers carefully catch the chickens, place them in ventilated crates, and load them onto specialized trucks for transport to the processing facility. Once the trucks arrive, processing begins immediately to ensure the entire process happens within 2 hours of leaving the farm. At the facility, every step follows licensed procedures, with strict inspections and oversight to guarantee food safety and sanitation. the chickens go through a humane stunning process to minimize stress, followed by cleaning and sorting. They are then placed in a rapid chilling system to keep the meat at a temperature below 39 degrees Fahrenheit, ensuring freshness and safety. During processing, chickens can be packaged whole or divided into different cuts such as breasts, thighs, wings and tenders, depending on market demand. Each cut is carefully sanitized, precisely weighed and individually packaged. Next, all products are labelled with complete information about origin, weight and expiration date. Finally, the chickens are stored in either cold warehouses or distributed directly to supermarkets, restaurants and consumers. Thanks to this, every cut of chicken that reaches the market is a result of a closed, carefully managed system, held to the same standards of precision and quality as other premium food industries. Behind every golden yolk or flavourful cut of chicken are millions of hours of dedicated work from farmers caring for their flocks. Are you willing to pay a little more to enjoy high-quality pasture-raised eggs and chicken? Is it truly worth the effort and sacrifice farmers put in? Share your thoughts in the comments below.